Attention, please. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome.
Hello, everybody. It is Wednesday. It is the Dennis and Andy show live. Don't adjust your screens. I'm not doing here comes Dennis, and he's going to pop on. He's not here today. Dennis and his issues of kidney stones and such had to go back into the old doctor surgeon on Monday and have some more of those suckers blasted out from up in there, however they do it. I've never had kidney stones. Or wait, I take it back. I've never had surgery for kidney stones. I've had kidney stones. I've gone to the ER. And every time, it's like 3 times, knock on wood, it's been about 15, 20 years. The doctor's like, they're not that big. It's going to hurt. Here's some painkillers. Here's a filter. Go through the filter so we can see what happens. And I'm like, fantastic. So I'm glad I've never had that surgery. Dennis has. He's laid up in bed on painkillers and such. So hopefully next week he'll be back. I tell you, anything for that guy to get out of work is what I'm hearing. So that is why he's not here. But we do have a guest today, which, since Dennis isn't here, might as well just say he's a co-host for the day. Ron Lemen is the guest. He was on the show. He was on my tutorial streams that I do, talking about his figure drawing process. So if you haven't watched that, go to my YouTube channel and you can check that out. It's very informative. It's a great interview and stuff. So we're not going to rehash a lot of that. So, hey, Ron, how are you?
Good. How are you doing? Thank you for inviting me back.
Oh, hell yeah. The last time it was great. Like I said, guys, go check out that video on my channel. Just search his name. You'll find the video. It's 2 hours long, very informative. Ron has been a freelance artist, well, for a very long time. So we're the same age. So he's done everything. You name it, he's done it. So there you go. But we are here to talk about 3 specific artists. Wing Shing Ma, who's Korean, Matteo Scalera, who's known for Black Science, and I'm blanking on other stuff. That's probably the biggest thing. And I didn't put his name in the description because you can only have so many characters, but we are both big fans of Sean Gordon Murphy as well. Little Tokyo Ghost. We're actually going to be looking at some Batman stuff and maybe some of this as well. But we're going to start off with, if you're prepared, Ron, with Wing. Man, I'm so bad. Wing Shing Ma.
Go ahead and keep talking for just a second because I need to pull up his images right now.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. So I've known who this artist is. He's a Korean artist. I actually used to own a few volumes of Storm Riders. When I was going through stuff, I can't find them, so that means I got rid of them. But I did really enjoy his stuff. I kept my Mega Dragon and Tiger, but that's Tony Wong. And I also have an Image comic called Solar Lord, which they translated. And his name, the guy that does that is Khoo. So I guess that's Koo or
Co.
I'm not sure. But I am not going to say his middle name. I know it's not pronounced the way I'm thinking, but it's spelled F-U-K. Long is, I believe, that artist's full name that did Solar Lord. And it's in that Korean style too, which, do you know, I'm sure you do, what is the name? because in Japan it's manga. Isn't there a name for the type of art? I thought like a blanket name.
I'm blanking on that right now. They do have their own.
Find it. Let's see. Oh man, the Solar Lord stuff. Okay, let's see. Oh God! Now it begins with an M. Somebody in the chat, help me out. Let's see. Fook. Right. That's right. It's pronounced Fook. So it's Fook Lung Ku. Even though when they spell it over here or do it over here, it's in a different order. While you're doing that, this on the original of his, at least. Let's see. I will say while you're tackling what you're doing, the one thing that impresses me about their work is you'll see in one graphic novel, you'll see stuff that is in traditional black and white ink with computer color, and then you'll see a panel that is fully painted.
Yep.
And then you'll see a panel that is black and white ink, but not digital color, but painted.
Yep.
And I'm just like, wow. Let's see here. So I'll just show this real quick. And this is the Solar Lord guy. Oops. Of course, I clicked the wrong button. I'm going to do tab. Yeah, that's it. So, that's not the right tab. This is, so share this tab instead. I mean, that is just freaking cool. Doesn't look that big either, but it's kind of hard to tell. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, the thing that impresses me about these guys is just like the line work they do, the effects, the storytelling is just different over there.
Yeah, the pacing is very different.
Yeah, the pacing, yeah. It is way different. Let's see. I want to say I saw some of his original art, some of Wing's original art. Yeah, there's some. So I don't know if you know the site Comic Art Fans or not. But if you don't, Ron, you should go to it because you can find so much. Have you heard of Comic Art Fans, that website?
No, I'm going there right now.
So Comic Art Fans, I have a gallery there. And when I say I have a gallery, it's not my work. It's art that I collect because I still collect original art.
Oh, I've been here. I have been here.
Yeah. So like there's some of his art there. Let's see. Yeah, like Tales of Blood Sword. I mean, there's not a lot, that's for sure, but I'll just pull up one page. That's a good size scan. Let's just do this. Oh yeah, that's good size. So here's a page of his original art. Which is really cool. And I would say this, I don't even know. Part of me wants to say this might go back to like mid 90s or before.
Oh yeah, it's 90s for sure.
You don't think it could possibly be in the 80s even?
That's when Storm Riders was developed. I've got some of the original monthlies here.
Oh, so you actually have some of the floppies, not the graphic novel?
I have the floppies, I have the reissue graphic novel in Korean, and I have the reissues in English.
Oh wow. So do you have the floppies that you have, are they in Korean?
Yeah. See,
Hold on, I'm gonna solo screen you real quick. So did you get
here's
those, I assume, off the internet?
no. There was a store near the school that I used to teach
Oh
at.
wait, that's right. You guys have great stores out there.
Yeah, for sure. And it was in like a, I don't want to, I don't like labeling things like this, but it was like in an area of town where there's more Koreans residing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so they had a comic book shop over there, and I go visit that like on a weekly basis, just as much as any of the other comic book stores, mostly to pick this guy up, because this guy, as soon as I saw his work, I was just instantly like taken. It totally captivated me.
That's
And
cool. I have going back to Solar Lord, because I don't have a lot of this stuff. It was 7 issues that Image put out, translated. But I also have, and I had to have gotten it at a convention. I do have one of their original Korean issues though, and it's totally
nice.
different. It's not like one of the ones they reprinted. It's a totally different story. Of course, I can't read it, but I don't care because the artwork is fantastic. And totally tangent. The thing I really like about it is because Solar Lord is like a superhero, and they're not
Right.
known for doing that.
Right.
So,
Yeah, well, this Storm Riders is like mythology. So the heroes and villains never really die.
right.
They take each other on, and one of them loses at the end, but then they all come back again in another story, because it is mythology. So these gods don't die; they just keep getting pushed back or pushed down, and that's one of the things that I had to really study. And I had a few friends that who are Korean that had to help explain some of it to me, because I didn't understand why. Well, this guy got taken out in this book. Why is he back in this book? And so they kind of filled me in on the history of it. I can't read the Korean at all, but I can do that now with my phone, which
Oh
is kind
yeah.
of cool. So this is one of the reissues,
Oh wow.
and it's also newer art. And the newer art is all completely digital now. Like there's still traditional line art in it, but the coloring is completely photoshopped in at this
Wow.
point. So
So
it's not like the other stuff where you're getting like a Drew Struzan looking panel, then an inked panel,
oh
then
yeah.
a comic book colored panel, all on the same page.
Well,
I read it.
that's actually a really good artist comparison you brought up is Drew Struzan, because you can see that style of painting in
Oh
some
yeah,
of the work.
for sure.
You know.
Well, if you think about a lot of these other, like the artists across the seas, they're not just looking at comic book artists; they're looking at all the artists. And Drew Struzan was a huge name for a long time with his
Oh
movie
yeah.
posters. And since these Storm Rider books are basically film in a book, a lot of the influences are coming from some of the older Marvel artists, but also from film. And Drew Struzan is going to be the first on the list as far as that's concerned.
Yeah. What so Storm Rider, I'm assuming Storm Rider's done, right? It's
Oh
not.
yeah, it's been done for a while.
Oh, okay.
The newer books, I don't know exactly if these are like new characters that they've been taking on, or a new timeline. And to be honest, I don't know if this book is still in publication either, because when I picked all of these up, this
Yeah.
was like 10 years ago, maybe 12 years ago, when I finished collecting all of these. And there's, I think, 16 books. Oh, wait, no, there's many more than 16 books. And now that I'm looking at it, it says book 63. So
Oh
they
wow.
definitely, yeah, and these are big volume
I was
books.
just
So,
say 63 of that thickness.
yeah.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah, for sure. No, but
Now, you know how manga guys, artists, and it's not like it's a secret, have assistants and stuff, right?
oh, yeah, yeah, for sure. He has
Does
a
this
whole team
guy,
of people.
do
Yeah.
they do that too? Or,
Yeah, he has a team of people. But as far as like the original pages go, he, I believe, did the pencils and the inks and the paintings, and then somebody else did the zip.
oh, okay.
But he was the primary artist for just about everything else. And I read something about his idea of the way he was generating his pages. And he just said, basically, whatever I felt like doing, that panel just spoke to me in that way. So I did it that way. And I used to think maybe there's a convention to this, like the painted panels are the prime panel that you're supposed to look at on the page. But that's not the case. It's just, I just felt like making this one this way, and I felt like making that one that way. And it felt right to me, so I just did it that way. And that was interesting to me that was his philosophy, because in the way that I would do a page like that, the prime panel would be the one that stands out the most, and it would maybe be done in a different art style or colored a little differently or something. And that's just the way I'm thinking about pacing a page, where he's not thinking of pacing a page that way, because these are films in a book. So he's actually, it's like storyboarding a story out. But graphic design wise, it's also something that he was playing around with a lot. I have another big book of his, which I couldn't find for the show, but it's all of his covers for the original Storm Riders. And they're all printed at 1:1 scale. So they're on the paper that they have, which is sort of like A4 or A6 in Europe. It's a little bit smaller than conventional size, but all of the pages, all the covers were still printed at that scale for the book. And it was really beautiful to be able to see the artwork at the scale that he was doing it.
Oh yeah. So do you have images now?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to share your screen, and
sure,
we can go through and you can give us kind of a rundown on what it is about? Because like I said, there's many guys. I mean, Tony Wong, the Solar Lord guy I mentioned, and tons more than that. But this one is the guy that's like speaking to you. So
yeah. So
all right, let me grab that.
Okay.
There we go.
Cool. All right, so I'm not sure how many of these we'll be able to go through, but so the things that I liked about his panels, as opposed to, and I love, like, I collect everything. So I have manga and I have Chinese comics and Korean comics, but his work, he didn't use like the speed lines over and over and over again like you do see in a lot of manga. He was actually creating the physicality of movement through feet kicking in the air and hands punching rapidly over and over and over again, which I have samples of in a lot of these pages. And here you can sort of see the movement of the character as he's jumping and flying and getting hit and kicked and hit and kicked and hit and kicked. And then this splashy dark ooze that's sort of like consuming the staircase, which would be like some sort of spell. And it's the movement of all of that this is what excited me so much about these pages, is the movement of the action, and how he was able to capture such dynamicism without needing the background to contribute to that, even though in a lot of them they do. He was able to capture that in the character movement alone. And I felt like that he's miles above anybody else who's doing this. Like, as far as any American artist goes, there's some that do a really good job. Like Sean Murphy can definitely make a car feel like it's peeling around a corner.
Oh yeah.
He has all these little tricks that he does to pull that off. But this guy could make figures move in space. And there's this elegant flow to it, almost like he's a stage choreographer. And he's pointing the actors in the direction that they're going to be tumbling and flying in space. And he was able to do that through their limbs, through their the smear framing, which is what you would call like one of those blur frames in animation. It's called a smear frame. He's sort of doing a smear frame, then a blur, then he's twirling the character in such a way where each character visually links to the next one in the flow line. And it just, for whatever reason, it makes that dynamic work really well.
And these are also read backwards, right?
Yes, yeah, they're read.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, cool.
And then here's one that, he's got the painted character in the foreground casting the spells, and then you can see the building just exploding. And he has this really nice graphic design to it where you can feel the thrust of the explosion. He hasn't bent every column, and he hasn't broken every board the same way. There's this sort of radiation that's occurring all the way up to the very top, where at the peak it's bursting out, kind of like, soda pop blowing out of a bottle when
Yeah.
you're shaking it. And then with the character that's on fire, that's like flying to the ground over here, you can
Yeah.
see his movement and rotation, and you can see his impact, and it's just beautifully choreographed on the page.
Now, with that figure that's painted there, what do you think? Is that acrylic, you think, or?
You could see that it's acrylic and airbrush. So
Okay.
he probably penciled it. The pencils are sitting underneath, and he used a dark, like a 2B or a 4B to keep it really dark. And then there's a little bit of gradation from the pencil. It looks like he may have done a primary ink line around the whole thing. Then he airbrushed over the top of that, and then at the very end he painted brushstrokes on top of the hand. You can see these little tiles of paint in the hand along in here. And then there's a few tiles of paint within the face, on the cheekbone and in the nose. But because the head is further back in space, he's focusing on all of the sharp impacting lines being in the hand, so that the head and the hand don't compete with each other in distance.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh,
and then again, even just like this little panel over here and the movement that he generates just inside of there is just beautiful. It's just beautifully done. And the flow of everybody, like you can tell that this would be one of those in a kung fu film. He would be the guy who's not moving his legs, but he's sort of flying through people. And you can see the ground, the radiating lines on the ground. And he put these really beautiful overlaps to it, so you can kind of tell that he's done a pirouette and he's gone back and then forward. And the way that it's the way that he figures out the flow that is, again, it's so much more advanced than almost any other artist that I've ever seen. And you can see the flow continuing through in the design of the boot over here. Like all of the lead lines are lined up with all of the different arcs. And it just, there's no blockage anywhere in the panel, and there's no awkwardness in the panel anywhere.
Yeah.
And here's one with more back and forth between painted panels and drawn panels. And here he is using the speed lines in the background, but it's not something that's done abusively or like too repetitiously throughout the books. I mean, in the books, he is trying to push as much of the cinematic landscape into the frame as possible when it matters the most. But this is like when the two warriors are like, they're breaking away from each other here. And it's this really beautiful tension that's taking place throughout. And I also love this pen hatching that he does. It's a little bit blurry in the photo, unfortunately, but there's this, it's almost unconventional the way that it works, but there's like 3 directions that he's using the line work in.
Yeah.
And it creates a certain type of arcing of the form, even though he's not arcing in space.
Well, it creates a nice, because his hair's blowing, so it kind of creates a nice movement and blur.
Yep, absolutely. Totally.
Now, with this stuff being, so what year do you think this was done?
These were 90s.
So do you think, because, over here we have Hunt 102 pens and stuff like that, and over there, was it the G pen and stuff? Do you think that's what he was probably, I guess, using is one of those, or
something equivalent to like a Micron? I've seen his toolbox before. He has everything. He would use dip pen. He would use brush. He would use technical pens. He had microns. He had whiteout pens. He had the whole arsenal of materials to work with. So it is really hard to determine exactly every line. But you can tell in here he's using a brush. So over here, it's for sure brush. And then the larger, more prominent lines are brush. And then everything else inside of there is some kind of like 0.05, 0.03, 0.01. And there's definitely a step down in the scale because none of the lines are the same size anywhere throughout that whole patterning.
Wow.
And this dude is he's so prolific. He is like he's like Otomo or Shiro Masamune. The amount of work and the amount of detail in those panels is just unbelievable. I mean, these guys, it's no wonder that there's a lot of, you read about a lot of like animators just keeling over with a heart attack
Yeah.
because they're nonstop just crunching and crunching and crunching and it's working away at all this stuff. And this guy is like, for sure ranks up there as one of those speed artists.
Yeah, I mean, like, it just boggles my mind the amount of work these guys get done, and the detail and stuff. And like I said, I've always liked the style and kind of been mesmerized by it, and just it's different. And when I look at it, my first thought is always, oh my god, I want to see these guys do something over here for like a Marvel or a DC, because their drawing is so good.
Yeah.
And the closest was that Solar Lord, but then, well, the closest is the Batman graphic novel that Tony Wong did, I would think, and then like Solar Lord. Other than that, I can't really think of a lot. And then you mentioned Shiro, and I mean, I've got, and you probably have them. You remember the first Intron Depot book that came out?
Oh yeah, the first one, the second one, and the third one.
And the third, yep, I've got all three of those. Is there a fourth one or no?
No, there wasn't a fourth one.
Okay,
his fourth one was girls. It was just all hot girls.
Okay, that I don't have.
Yeah, and it wasn't called Intron Depot. And it's like it's going into that smut direction for sure.
Oh, right.
I wasn't really down for that book. The other three, I just love because I followed all the Ghost in the Shell books as they were coming out, and I collected all of Appleseed and.
Oh yeah, I've got the Appleseed. Well, I've got the Appleseed trades. I've got Ghost in the Shell, which I love seeing the growth in Ghost in the Shell, because you look at that early Ghost in the Shell and it's great, but then you look at the last stuff and there's just such a gap of like growth in there.
Oh, for sure.
His figure work, his designs, all that stuff. So
yeah, well, that's this book right here. This was the last Appleseed book that came out.
Yeah.
It was a little tiny one, and this is where his technology just blew up. Like it was more organic technology. Like it was always organic, but this is like he has a bunch of boats that are fish designs in here, and it's just gorgeous. It's just gorgeous.
What do you think he's doing now?
Oh, he's living off of the money that he's made, and he makes a piece of art every now and again, but I believe he's fully retired.
He's got to be, like, I know this guy we're looking at was born in 61. I mean, I would assume Shiro's got to be older than that.
Oh, he's roughly around the same age. And that's the same with Katsuhiko Otomo.
Oh, yeah.
Otomo's a little bit older than both of them. And then Battle Angel Alita's artist, oh my God, I'm forgetting his name right now, but that was another book that I collected everything. I collected the little tiny books, the giant books, the English book. I collected everything. Battle Angel was one of those that came out a little bit later from Appleseed. And I think it was around the time of Ghost in the Shell, but it was, I felt like, to me, that one was more entertaining than Shiro's books were. Shiro's books are gnarly. They're entertaining, but there's so much history in them. There's all these like little tiny side blurbs everywhere, especially if you read the English books, where it explains what a word is in this description up here.
Oh, yeah.
History behind it. And it's deep. Like you really have to spend time reading those books to understand everything that's going on. But he was really good about giving us that additional information, so we didn't feel like we were losing him at all when he was telling his deep stories that he was telling.
Cool. Let's go with a couple more really cool pages, and then we'll hit the next guy, artist.
Cool. So here's another one where you can see this is like in a watercolor style, a very loose watercolor style down below, and then mixed with the ink pages. I don't remember which one of these is.
Well, now look at that. I mean, now the page you're showing here, is the whole book black and white, or are there actually color pages in it?
Oh, this is just one page in the whole thing. This is one black and white page, but then on the page opposite, there's a painted panel on it.
That's what I was going to say. So that's what kills me. Like, not only is it the different medium from panel to panel, but then it's like, you know what? I'm leaving this whole page in black and white. And you're like, what?
Yeah, totally. No, it's like that. And then here's one where it's, every other panel is the painted panel, and then this one he's combined inking with painting.
Yeah.
And then a little bit of spot color here and there, but not fully rendered at all. I thought I shot one of the newer
Ooh, that's nice.
the newer pages, but yeah. And then his ability to draw not just characters and not just architecture, but animals and everything else. It's like everything is so well done. And you know, some of the anatomy is a little bit funky here and there, but you don't notice it at all unless you know. Like,
Well,
because
I think one of the things with these guys, and it goes for the manga artists, it goes for all the, I think, Eastern artists, is even their human anatomy is kind of wonky. I mean, the stuff's in the right place. Like, they have pecs, right? They have abs, but it's the way they stylize it.
right.
But it's because it's consistent, right? If
Yep.
it wasn't consistent and it just changed from panel to panel, then you'd be like, what is this guy doing? But because they
Right.
keep it consistent, just, you know, kind of like if, you know, you're doing a, you know, Mickey Mouse, you have to keep them consistent from panel to panel, you know, shot to shot, whatever.
Exactly.
And I think, like you said, even with on the animals, the anatomy might be kind of wonky. One, it's an animal. 9 times out of 10, if not 10 out of 10, most ordinary people won't be able to look at an animal and go, wait a second,
Right.
that anatomy's off.
Yep.
So as long as, again, they keep it consistent from panel to panel, that's what matters.
Exactly. And a lot of these guys, like a lot of the Japanese artists, they're academically trained. So
Right.
that's also why he can dive into all these different art styles, because he learned them. And it's a proficiency that they learn. They learn technique, but they learn proficiency with it. So they can mix it up and go back and forth, and they can hide the artwork well, because part of what you learn in art school is how to compose, and composing is sort of visually lying. You're putting something together just to draw the eye to a certain place, but you can lie about how to get there. And
Right.
if you're good at your materials, then you can lie really well and still make the panel look like something that everybody would want to hang on their wall.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna move through these a little bit fast here, because
Okay.
I thought I shot a picture of the new book, but I may not have downloaded it from the phone.
Now, when you say new, what are we talking about here?
The more digital, the photoshopped pages.
Oh, okay.
But like this is the kind of stuff that for me at the time, because I'm doing a graphic novel that's action sports related,
Yeah.
I want to be able to show the trick, like to be able to show a 360 flip in a panel. You have to know the rotation of the board, but you also have to shoot it in a strobe effect. That's what that kind of sequencing is called. It's called strobing. And that's what he's doing here to show 100 kicks being kicked at this enemy. He's strobing every kick.
Right.
And this is where it was like, okay, I think I now know how to do what I need to do, because
Sure.
he definitely is showing me that information that's going to help inform me better in the way that I would need to do the artwork that I want to do.
Sure.
And again, more of that strobing. And in these more intense scenes, this is where you're going to find those background lines. But notice how these aren't just lines that are in perspective. These are lines that are choreographed. They're flowing and spiraling,
yeah.
moving in the page. And to me, it's more attractive. It just has a beauty and elegance to it that you don't see in most manga.
Yeah.
And let's see, I'm going to just flip through a few more. Here's a couple more of those Struzan looking panels.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. And again, it's like every page you could just stare at for hours. It's like trying to get into the artist's mind to figure out how the hell he got to this end result in some cases. And then like this beautiful explosion of the statue as he's running into it. It's just like, yeah, that looks like the way it would explode. There's like no doubt that is photographically accurate in some way. Here's again the movement of the character on the page, showing the 1,000 hits that he's doing to this dude in the foreground. It's brilliant. Oh, and then there's this page. I definitely wanted to take this one. This one almost Frank Miller-ish.
Yeah.
It's more in the black than it is in the light. And then his last panel is all fluid movement with watercolor. Just like,
Yeah.
again, the confluence of materials is outstanding here. And I think that's it. So yeah, I didn't bring it
Okay.
over, fortunately.
Cool. Let's I'll pull up the Sean Gordon Murphy stuff. Let's see. But before I do that, so when we talked on the other stream, we were talking about our massive library as well. Yours is a lot more than mine. Do you have, let me remove this so you can see it better. Now, I love how to draw books. I know we talked about that. I'm hoping when I show you this book, you go, oh, I don't have that. But a part of me thinks you're going to go, I got that. Now I got this book. Let me just look at the copyright. I think it can't. I got it when I was working at CrossGen. So I got this book at least 25 years ago. All right. Anyhow, I'll just show it. Do you have this?
No. Oh, how cool. How to Draw Kung Fu Comics. No way.
Dude, this is all Korean type stuff. Because look at the ads in the back. Storm Rider.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And it literally, here, let me do this just so you can see it better. It goes into, so the book covers everything from script, character design, word balloons, but talking about all those action lines, illustrating backgrounds right there.
Nice. Oh, that's cool.
It goes into, this book is insane.
Yeah, that is really cool.
In fact, I'm going to have to check my book look part of my channel because I don't think I've done a book look on this one, which means I'm going to have to. So when I do, yeah, it goes into features, hair, you name it. So
nice.
Yeah, I'll have to check if I can find it on like eBay or something. I'll send you a link.
There's 2 books by a Disney artist. They're called Elemental Magic. I don't know if you've heard of those. He was a background artist for Disney who did like water droplets and waves and smoke and fire. And the 2 books that he published are on how to draw that way and how to think about the movement. I have one just within arm's reach, but I'd have to get up to go grab it. But both of those books I picked up because that was some of the stuff that the old Disney movies I was captivated by. The amount of realism in all these natural elements. And this guy was like a guy that they would hire to do, if there was a special scene in one of the animations, he would be the guy to draw everything.
Wow.
Both of the books are laid out, like one of them has a chapter on fire, one of them has a chapter on water movement, one of them has a chapter on waves, one of them has a chapter on smoke and how smoke billows and how it moves.
Oh, wow.
And develops and it's all hand drawn. So you're seeing the sequential of it in the way that the artist would think about it. And those are definitely for anybody who is doing comics with a lot of special effects in them. I would highly recommend both of those books.
What are they called?
Elemental Magic. Let me go grab one really quick.
Yeah, just grab one real quick. I'm going to Google just to see.
Here's the book.
Oh, I have not seen that
This
before.
This is volume 2 of the 2 volumes, and I'll pull up one of the pages just to show like a good technical page. Like here's something being tossed underwater, and it's the sequence of how it would bubble and how it would suction.
Oh, wow.
And every page in the book is like that. It's all on the different elements. And this one is more water related throughout the book. There's a section on fire in it, but it's more water than fire. And then the first book is, so fire ripples. And this is his description for fire rippling. So he's using like sheets to show you how it would flicker and ripple in the fire pit. So he's like giving all these really good descriptive analogies on how to design and think in that manner.
Yeah, so they're like, I found volume 1. It's like $40, so that's not bad.
Yeah, Joseph Gilland.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. I'll have to keep that up. All right, let's look at let's pull this up. So you know, when you mentioned Sean Gordon Murphy, I was like, oh yeah. I mean, I knew, like I said, I knew who Wing Shing Ma was, but not as much as you. But Sean Gordon Murphy, um, I love his stuff.
Oh
Just
yeah, for
like,
sure.
you know, this image right here. I mean, one, it's just a great single, you know, illustration, but I love his ink line. Um, the effects, like you look at that car down there and you really get the motion from it. And of course, he's employing some of the speed lines, not, you know, done in that Korean way. Like you look at the effects coming off the tires, like the center of the tires there. And
I
so
don't I don't see a screen.
you don't have a screen share?
No, I don't see it. I see your paper background.
Really? Guys in the chat, let me know if you see a screen. That's weird. So you just see the two of us small and then just the big paper background?
And the big paper background, yeah.
Okay, hold on. That's weird. All right, let me try something else. All right. Now we're okay. So Randy's all right. Let me try. Let me stop sharing and try it a different way.
Meanwhile, I can just flash these Punk Rock Jesus,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is one of his books. And this one is my favorite of all of them, just because it's sort of like it's a project book, and this is called Cafe Racer. And
Yeah, I've got that one.
Yeah, he brought in 5 artists, taught them how to do comics, kept them all true to their own hand, and made this amazing compilation book with them. And then, of course, Tokyo Ghost, which is also another one of those amazing books.
Hey, do you see my screen now?
I do not, but
They
maybe.
do. Do me a favor. Stop sharing your screen. Let's see what happens.
Oh, where's that? Okay.
Oh, that's weird. Now, how about now?
I do not see it.
Really? Because as soon as you stopped sharing your screen, mine went away, and it was just the two small us and then the big blank paper background. But then I just popped it up and it's there, but you're not seeing it?
No, let me hit one button just to see if I do something like this and then stop sharing. So there, hey, I can see your page now. I don't know why.
Okay. Well,
I'm on presentation mode right now to share my screen, but now I can see your screen. So
well, as long as you can see it, that's all that matters. So anyhow, what I was saying is this is one great image.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah.
And you know, you look at that car and just the way it's designed, the way it's inked, the way he does the speed lines, the effect lines coming off the front of the tires, which are guns shooting, because you can see little bullets trailing off casings. Total Korean, you know, manga, whatever, you know.
And I see what I see in this is sort of like on some days on some of the pages I call him Frank Miller 2.0.
Yeah,
because it's sort of like a well-informed Frank Miller. Like Sean clearly did study in school. I don't think Frank went to art school. I think Frank just jumped into comics. But Sean has that education, but he also has that drive and that punk rock ink style that Frank Miller used to have before he just started going more Mignola black graphic.
right.
He's got that energy in his lines, and I've watched him work before. He was at the at Comic-Con this year.
Yeah.
And I hung out with him for a little while, watching him work and talking with him and everything. And yeah, he's just a go for it dude, and that's what I love about what he does. Is it's from the gut more than it is this carefully planned and plotted page that's then beautifully inked, which I don't mind that either. But in just like in skateboarding, I like the guy who's about to fall off all the time but pulls everything. I kind of like the way this inking is in the same vein. It's like it has history and depth to it, but at the same time it's raw.
Well, the thing I like about it too is I like the inking style for all those reasons. I don't think, and you saw him work, so you could probably answer this. To me, it looks like the only time you would use a brush is to fill in black areas. It looks like a lot of the work is brush pen or, you know, microns or, you know, something like that.
He actually used the brush a lot for most of the
Really?
work. Yeah, I didn't
Okay.
see him switching materials that often. He was mostly with his brush.
But one of the things I really like about his stuff is just like looking at this figure, right? I mean, like a lot of us that draw comics and stuff, we have a way we draw a muscular figure. You know, we can change the proportion of it, make them wider or whatever, but the way we construct anatomy is pretty much the same on any type of, proportion figure. And I look at this, and he's one of those unique guys where I look at and I go, yeah, I don't know what his influence was for learning anatomy.
No, yeah, no, I don't know either, but I
And
like his
I
graphic
love that.
shapes. It's sort of like Sam Keith. Sam Keith
Yeah.
does the same thing. It's just or even some of Simon Bisley's stuff. Like he knows anatomy, but then he just sort of does his own Michelangelo on it, where it's
Yeah.
like there's muscles that shouldn't be there. It totally works. The shapes he's using shouldn't work, but they look beautiful. What I think is that Sean has such a good eye for graphic design that it
Yeah.
really does come down to the graphic shapes more than it does the accuracy of something.
Right. No, I totally understand that. And just going back to the graphic design and composition, look at this page.
Yep.
Now he wrote it, but let's say he didn't write it. And the script, if he didn't write this, the writer probably wrote something like, the Batmobile, it's nighttime, the Batmobile's pulling up to the gates of Arkham Asylum. You get so many images in your head on the way to do it. And it all comes down to like, preference and stuff like, and what you want to emphasize. So
Right.
if I'm explaining it right, for me, if I got that as a written script, I would tell the story, but I'm such a car buff, I would really want to focus on doing maybe a higher angle shot with the car still in the foreground going to the background, but a bigger shot of the car because I love drawing cool cars,
Right.
And he does too, but he refrained and did this, and it's
Well,
just,
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
no, I was just gonna say, it just works so well. And then the guy who actually colored it, Matt Hollingsworth, I actually went to the Kubert school with him. We were classmates, and Matt is just one of the best colors out there.
Oh yeah, his coloring is amazing on this.
So just once again, where the building is placed, the uplighting on the building, and I guess one thing is, and this is one of my problems, is I'm too literal sometimes. So I wouldn't think of this because when I look at this, and I love it, so I'm not bashing it in any way, but I go, wow, that building is high up on a hill. You know what I mean? That's
Yep.
why in my mind, I would be thinking more, I guess, dumb logically. And what I mean by that is I'd be going, well, I mean, come on, if it's an insane asylum, it's going to have gates. It's going to be far back from the gates. It's not going to be that far back from the gates. And I'm sure it's not going to be up on a hill. Why would they build it up on a hill? That's stupid. You know what I mean? When it's like, that part of me, I need to go, shut up, throw that out the window, because this is
Right.
freaking cool.
Yep. Well, to me, when I look at Sean's work, he's very cinematic.
Yeah.
And he's not sacrificing the cinema for the fanfare of something. He's
Right.
truly doing this in the way that you would see it if it were filmed.
Yeah.
And he's giving heavy symbolism to everything, which is like putting all of the crazies up in a container up on the mountain with cliffs where they can't get out makes more sense to me than just
Right.
having an old building that they converted into or made into an asylum that's a strewn in a city, somewhere. This makes way more sense.
Yeah.
And I think in part that's the reason why, again, I'm really drawn to what he does, because he pushes everything. It's like
Yeah.
it is his own film, his own unique film. And I hope if they make this into a film that he actually gets to storyboard it, because it would lose something if they didn't keep his imprint or all of his messaging in the way that he did within the panel work.
Well, I think what would be cool is if, and they've done it a few times. I can't remember the name of the cartoon. I know it's like 20 years old, but basically it was based on the Batman Superman stuff that Jeff Loeb and Ed McGuinness did.
Right.
And the animation style, I watched it and I'm like, oh my God, it's looking at Ed McGuinness's stuff animated. And I think if they ever did this, it'd be cool as a cartoon. And, you know, Batman was basically character designed on this shape.
Totally.
You know?
Yep.
Instead of like a live action thing. But so talking about the shots, you know, this last panel that has the inset with the keys, the inset's nice, but just the last panel on itself, that long shot of inside the prison, just all dark and like it's dank, and you can just feel the like grossness of it and stuff.
Totally. Yeah, he's definitely one like Mignola. He's not afraid to lose it into black.
Right.
And I think that is what we've lost in comics, which is why he is such a draw, because so many people now do the open line work and really rely upon heavy colorization from Photoshop. And it's unfortunate because there are so many stories that could potentially be amazing stories, but they lose something because the artist was too caught up in being an artist rather than being a storyteller.
Right. Look at obviously Batman looks great. I love every panel on this page. But one thing I really dig about his work is let me go back up. You see this guard's face right here, the dude saying right this way. You probably can't read it, but let me blow this up actually so we can get a better. So this guard's face, I love how he does all this rendering shadow on it, but then you get down here and you got that face that is just in black and white. There's like nothing there.
Yep.
You know?
Well, you need to see the smug on it. And when you hide it in shadows, you're not going to see smug anymore.
And here too. And like, this is another thing I'm talking about is like, my big critique on myself is I'm so literal. So when I do lighting, part of my mind is like, well, how would the lighting actually go? Instead of thinking design. Because, you know, you look at this panel, this last panel, you know, it's downlit heavy, but it's accurate. But at the same time, it's theatrical where it's like, nah, the blacks look good placed here.
Totally.
You know, and
Yep, there are few artists every now and again that will do this kind of work, and like I said, he's sort of like a Frank Miller, but to me, he's like Frank Miller meets Mike Mignola meets Bill Sienkiewicz, and then every now and again I see some Kent Williams influence from the old like Killing Joke, Wolverine, and there's so many little things going on here, and he's taken all the right influences, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. And then getting back to the storytelling side, I mean, these panels here are just a portion of the page because that's the whole page with these two. But just this sequence here, the car going down, the drawbridge, she's freaking out. I love the fact that she's freaking out, but you just see Batman's arms and they're just tense. And that's all you see. You don't see his face. You don't see his chest. You just got his arms and they're tense. And even though he's not saying a word, just the body language of Batman's arms in that panel, he's a badass, right?
Yep. He's a badass who's committed.
Yeah. And then I love this long shot with the car jumping. I mean, it's like you said, it's very cinematic, but he's not sticking to cinematic like some guys that go, well, I'm doing cinematic, so every panel is going to be the film shape, you know, dimension.
Oh yeah, no, he's good. Like this is an action sequence and he's arcing over a bridge, and those three panels do it perfectly. You're getting a before, a middle, and an after of the arc up and over, and all of them flow in that same way. You can feel the whole movement.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like if you can see my mouse, you've got her looking, your eye goes up, so you're just traveling. And this is what a lot of modern artists don't do, is they don't lead the eye around the page, and it drives me crazy.
Yep.
And you got her looking right here. You got this big black shape of the bridge that leads you up to the car. So you get the feeling of the car moving as your eye transverses. And then you drop right down because of where he puts the wheels, and you feel that boom.
The impact. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then in the next panel, the way he uses the building in the background and the road to create the arcing of the car peeling around the corner. You can completely feel it.
Yeah.
And it's not in the car, because the car is just a rectangle, but it's in everything else surrounding the car that helps you feel that full rotation of the car taking off in the other direction.
Right. And the fact, once again, just on the rooftop. I mean, talk about a car chase. Dude's chasing the Joker. The Joker's on what is that? A Segway hoverboard thing, being chased by the Batmobile going over rooftops.
Yeah.
You know? And then like there are panels, like all his backgrounds to me really fall into that stylized realism. They're more real than cartoony. But then his figure work and faces are definitely more cartoony than real.
Right.
And you know what it reminds me of? Did you ever get the book by Michael Golden, The Nom?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that was it. Michael would draw these realistic guns, realistic backgrounds, but all the figures were cartoony. But each figure had a personality. Each figure had their own silhouette. You know, so if they were lined up in just silhouette, you could, if you knew their names, you could be like, oh, that's that guy. That's that character from the Nom. And that's, you know, and that's kind of like what this is.
Yeah, totally. I thought I had that here in my pile of books that I brought out. I wasn't sure what we were going to share, and I loaded up my floor.
You know, they're doing, I don't know if I'm going to buy it though, because I've got all the Nom trades. They're actually doing a Nom omnibus.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Did you ever get those portfolios of all the Nom covers that were in like a full? Those are amazing. There's one on Nom and there's one on Jurassic Park.
The Jurassic Park I have photocopies of, so it's not that big, but
yeah, they're the 11 by 17s,
yeah.
and they're some of my treasures for sure. I've always loved Michael Golden's work. His hand is just beautiful.
So I'm sure you do, because my favorite is the G.I. Joe special #2.
Yep.
Now,
Absolutely.
do you have, I'm hoping this is like the Kung Fu book, and you go, I don't. Do you have the Spartan X miniseries?
I have, oh yeah, that's the Jackie Chan books.
Yeah, in black and white?
Yes, I do.
Oh man, they're black and white. They're so freaking good.
Yep, totally.
So, and you can, and once again, I've never talked to Sean before, don't know him. He's got to be a fan of them too, just by looking at the motion of the cars, the motorcycle, the motion of the figures and stuff he does, because you can see a lot of that too.
It's very Michael Golden. I mean, Michael Golden had those cartoony characters, but then the tanks were real, the guns were real, the hand grenades were real. It's absolutely accurate to what those weapons were, the helicopters and everything else in Nom. And Sean's doing the same thing here. There's a realism to the elements. There's a stylism to the characters.
Now, this is something I heard. Now, I don't know if it's true, so maybe you do. But and to preface, it doesn't bother me in the least, because to me, it's smart. I heard that for like the vehicles like that you see a lot, like the Batmobile and stuff, that he has a 3D SketchUp model that he made, so he can, it's always right. And of course it saves time.
Well, I wouldn't doubt it, because if in the book, if you look at the back of the graphic novel, he's done all of the sketch work for it. He does concept art. So he did the concept art of it. And I would not doubt that he also built this, because if you're going to be doing this kind of level of detail, you need something that helps you see the accuracy when it's an invented thing. And this car is his own car, so I would not doubt it. I don't know if he built it himself or if he had somebody else build it for him, but I'm certain that he has something that he's looking at for that.
Yeah, and the nice thing is, and I've done this before, I worked on one book where the dude lived in a penthouse, a 2-story penthouse. Well, it was a loft, so whatever. And I designed the whole penthouse in SketchUp, so I could move the camera around. And then when I needed, what I would do is I would save the angle, put it into Photoshop, make it non-photo blue, print it out on my Bristol, and then I inked over it. And by the time I got done inking it, just like Sean, if that's what he's doing, it's because it's your ink line. You can't tell.
Right.
And
Well,
it's
so in the pages that I do, I build everything first in Blender. I know the book, and I build all the scenes in Blender, so I have everything there ready to
wow.
go. And then I move the camera around just like a movie director would to find better angles than what I'm going
Sure.
to. I'll thumbnail it out. I'll look at it and go, yeah, that could be a stronger thumbnail. And then I'll roam the camera around in the shot until I find something that I feel is more compelling, and then that'll be for my block in. And I use it for the block in or for the visualization purposes, especially with the amount of time people give us now to do this stuff. You either do really great art and you're late on every page, or you get everything done on time and you hate half of what you did because you had
Right.
to hack it together. So by having everything, sort of all the scenes built in 3D for me, I'm not sacrificing
So wait,
quality.
you can build rooms in Blender?
Oh, I build my everything. I mean,
Oh, I didn't know
if
you could do that in Blender. Blender's free too, isn't it?
oh yeah, Blender is the best program
Is
that
it
you're
hard to
ever going to
use?
get. Well, I I'm biased because I learned software really quickly, and I've used Maya and 3D Max and
Oh,
ZBrush
okay.
and all of those before. When I learned Blender, I learned it in about 8 months, and so I've learned how to 3D model, rig, animate, the VFX, the particle systems, everything. I'm basically a Blender virtuoso, I guess if you want to call it that. I use all the different parts in the program, and I teach it to the Hollywood guilds, so I
Oh,
have to
that's
know what I'm doing with it.
so I just looked while we were talking. I have Blender 4.3, so I don't know how recent that is, but
It's a little bit closer to updated. Blender's on 5.0 alpha and
okay.
4.5 beta, so you're close.
I'll have to start playing with it and just looking at YouTube videos. So
It's
back,
and it's OS. It's You're going to find a tutorial on anything you need to know on YouTube.
oh yeah, no, I'm going to have to start playing with it. So look at this first freaking panel. Another thing I like about Sean Gordon Murphy is, like you said, he does cinematic, but he also knows it's comic books. And what do kids and fans in general like in comics? Big, cool shots of the hero.
Yep, totally.
And he gives it to you.
Yep.
So he's mixing in great storytelling, great artwork, design, all that. And he's like, and it's freaking comics. I'm assuming, like most comic artists that I know are like, yeah, I like drawing superheroes. I want to draw big figures every now and then. And it's fun for him and it tells the story. That's one thing I always liked about Joe Kubert. Joe would do these great big figures on pages, but he didn't sacrifice the storytelling to do it.
Exactly. What's also nice about his characters, like there are some comics that I think scare kids off. Like if you were to look at, oh my God, I'm forgetting his name now. He did the Pit. Um, he did the Pit and the Hulk. He was
Dale Keown.
Dale Keown, yeah.
Yeah.
Dale Keown's work. You look at that and you're like, I'll never be able to do comics. He knows anatomy way too well.
Yeah.
And it would freak anybody out. But with Sean's work, it's accessible to anybody. It's like
Right.
he's using conventional anatomy, but he's doing it in such a way that it doesn't make you feel intimidated that you could not learn this.
Well, that goes back to that analogy in a way. And I'm not comparing, these two guys to Sean, but just the analogy. That's the thing with like Todd McFarlane, Rob Liefeld. I know a bunch of guys, a little bit younger than me, and when they want to draw comics, they were intimidated. Going back to like the late '80s, right? Of like a Dale
Right.
Keown, and even say George Perez, John Byrne, whatever, right? Because of their art. But then when Todd did it, and like Rob came out, they felt a sense of fun and dynamics looking at it. But then because of the drawing, they were like, I think I can do this.
Right. Exactly.
And I think I agree. I think that's what's cool. Now, I think with Sean, there's a little bit more because like I look at like that face of Commissioner Gordon at the top right-hand panel, and I'm like, just the rendering on the face and the different textures that are in it. and I know you have this book, so you know what I'm talking about. Those watching it might be harder to see, but there are so many different textures on the side of his face coming out of the black shadow
Yep.
that I'm just like, wow.
Yeah, totally.
You know?
Well, in a way, there's, that Wing Shing Ma panel we were looking at with that hair blowing in the wind with all the different line work in it.
Yeah.
That face reminds me of that kind of decision making where
Yeah.
you're not going to just spot it black. You're actually going to give it some sort of form to it. I mean, he wants Commissioner Gordon to look sweaty and stressed and all the other things that the character needs to be in this particular moment. And if you spot everything with black, you lose a little bit of that dynamic in the emotional storytelling.
Yeah. And I also think, and I know I've seen some of his pencils before when he inks himself, and it, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure from the pencils I've seen, let's take these panels up here, all the shapes, everything's there, and the blacks are probably indicated with like side of the pencil really loose and cruddy because he's inking it himself. And it's one of those things, it's like, why would I pencil the feathering and the rendering tight? Because you just lose all this spontaneity that he has in his work.
Yeah, you don't need to do all of the hatching. You just need to like create the graphic puzzle pieces. Shadows are going to go over here in this puzzle piece, lights will be over here, and then you feel your way through it. And that's what I was watching him do, is feeling his way through the panel. He was never like plotting and planning the line work. He would just sketch out a shape really quickly and then go to the pen and go to the brush and just start working.
Right.
And that was really liberating to watch, because in looking at this, you could deceptively think that this is very carefully planned because everything feels like it's supposed to be there. There aren't any shapes that feel random at all. But when you watch him work, it almost feels like it is random. It's almost like, oh, he's just sort of guessing, but he's definitely not, because he has such a strong graphic design sensibility that he knows where he's taking this. He knows where he's taking us with it.
Well, that's kind of different. I mean, I don't know about Mignola these days because he's been doing it for so long. But I remember back in the early 90s, people would be like, oh, you got to be so fast. Look at your work. Nothing's there. It's white, black, done. And he's like, dude, it takes me forever to figure out these black shapes and stuff.
Oh, he would draw every detail out, and then he would start erasing details. That's like, the way Mignola worked was everything was drawn, and then erase, remove, erase. And it's like you're building this thing, and then you're destroying it to find it.
Right. Yeah. One of my favorite jobs of his still to this day is Cosmic Odyssey.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That's my favorite.
Yeah, Cosmic Odyssey, which I used to have. A friend of mine still has them. I should just get them from him. I used to have a full set of first generation copies of the pencils to Cosmic Odyssey.
Oh,
and I lost them during a move or something. And they were just great. I loved his 2 fill-in issues on Superman, or 2 or 3 he did. And the very first Hellboy stuff, I'll be honest, the Hellboy, a lot of the stuff he does now where characters don't have shoulders, and it's just he's at a point to me where everybody, when I talk to a friend of mine, we always say that every person will have their favorite point in an artist's career, and for me, for Mike, and as the artist, you don't like hearing it because Mike would be like, oh my God, that's just 40 years old. But for me, it's Cosmic Odyssey. It's the first few Hellboys and stuff.
There was also, didn't he do a Batman in World War II book?
He did. Oh, he did. What was it? Batman Starman? No, he did Batman Hellboy. He did Batman Gotham by Gaslight.
Oh, there was one that he did that was sort of, maybe that's what it is, but he did some Batman book that was unbelievable. I think that was also my other favorite of his. It was when he was it was just before he started going towards what he does now with Hellboy. And there was a lot of that spotting in it that was just prime.
So look at, I mean, this splash page is just, I gotta back it down so we can see it.
Yeah,
That is
the
just
big
insane.
imposing Batman and the
Yeah.
meek Joker.
Yeah. So yeah, so I mean, we're on the same page with Sean Gordon Murphy for sure. And this guy, both these, that almost looks like Gail King.
Yeah.
And that guy, that looks like a real guy, doesn't it? Or am I just?
Oh yeah. No, it does look like some. Oh my God. I'm
Doesn't
forgetting
she
the
look like Gail King?
Yep. Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're again now when you're building a story like this, this is something that I do too. Is I go hunt for my actors,
Right.
so that I'm not creating generic heads that I have to continue trying to get accurate, between panel to panel. I'm going to go find somebody who I can model everything after, draw the crap out of it, so I don't ever have to look at reference again, and then begin working off of all of the drawings that I did that help inform where I'm going with that. And I'm pretty sure he does the same kind of thing, because like his character depiction is very accurate from one panel to another, and they
Yep.
have their absolute unique qualities about them that make them who they are.
Yeah. Yep. Nope. I've done that as well. It's good to do that because it takes a lot of thinking out, and then you make them your own.
So
So ending with this last panel here, I love all the tribute stuff. You got some Bruce Timm down here,
yeah,
Bruce Timm type stuff here. Just all this Batman memorabilia that is just, the little cars here. I mean, he's got the Batman 1966 Batmobile right at the bottom of the page down here.
yeah,
And then once again, just the spotting of the blacks and stuff, and I'm saying loneliness, but that's not the word I want to go for. The solitude, I guess, of the Joker just being so small, and just he's cluttered with all this stuff, but it's still just nope. It's lonely. It's almost like just eating at him.
oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's the end of Rosebud.
Oh yeah.
It's Citizen Kane.
Yeah.
It's the end of Citizen Kane for sure.
Oh, what is this?
Surrounded by all his stuff and completely lonely and destitute.
Yep. And then look at that Bruce Wayne. Something else that, once again, the logic part of my head needs to shut off is, and all my favorite artists do this, but for some reason, if I'm drawing and I do it, I'm like, no, it needs to be consistent. That Bruce Wayne is not the same build as some of the Batmans we've seen,
For sure. Yep.
But
totally.
once again, it's Bruce. It's cool,
There's one little design point I want to point out in that. If you look at the panel that's overlapping Bruce, there's a curvature in the building that follows his shoulder.
I know.
And those are things that I wish more artists would pay attention to, is that you're leading the eye through, but you're also trying to complete a form, because the brain will go into where's that corner of the shoulder, unless you spot something in there that shows you the shoulder line. And by having it implied in the other panel through the design effect, you're giving us everything we need, where we're not second guessing something, where we're not being thrown out of the book just because there's a tangent in the book that's causing us to do that.
Do you know who does this? So Neil Adams did it a lot. Alan Davis did it a lot. Alan Davis would draw and he got it from Neil, of course. But I remember specifically, I can't remember the book, but there was like a head, 3/4 head in a panel, and it was cropped. So the back part of the skull, in the next panel, it was a landscape, and Alan did like a rolling hill that kind of finished. I love doing stuff like that if I get the chance, because like you, I think it's a cool design thing, and it doesn't throw me off, because when you first mentioned it, I thought you were going the route of, bad tangent, but you came back around, and I'm like, I love stuff like that. So if somebody was like, "Oh, that's a bad tangent," I'd be like, "No, that's cool design."
This was one of the little secret things that I picked up on all these comic book artists a long time ago. Like Adam Hughes does it a lot. Mark Schultz does it a lot.
Yeah.
Um, Hal Foster did it a ton. And it was just, it completed each picture, even though there were overlapping panels. And it gave you complete satisfaction of being able to see and feel the entire form, even though it wasn't there because it was cropped by other things. The old illustrators did it. This is what like the old masters in painting and the old illustrators used to do. So somewhere along the way, some comic book artists knew what they were doing because they knew what other people were doing and brought it forward. And then others who were keen to catch on to that have brought it into their own work too. And they usually are some of the better artists. They perfected their art, the craft of their art to a certain point, and they're definitely using quality resources to help inform them of what they're doing.
Yeah. And the thing too, and it's hard to see on the screen, but that figure of Bruce is 95% silhouette except for his shoulder.
Yep.
As you're looking at it, the right side of his shoulder, he just was like, a little highlight there, you know, instead of just go. And here's the thing is, it's like, this is something I'd like to actually ask him is if he just totally knocked that out, flat silhouette, we wouldn't be looking at it going, you know what he should have done. We'd just be like, no, it's cool. But he did that. And I'd like to ask and go, what was your thinking on giving a little highlight there? Because it's colored very dark as well.
Well, I can maybe, I think of 2 or 3 things. One of them is the direction of a light source, but also his shoulder is tangent to the frame in the background. Sure. And if he had filled it in black, they would be kissing each other. Those 2 corners would be touching. Yeah. And that would create a super tension point. But if you look at the line division is synonymous with the frame division, where it's got the matting and the frame. And that's what his shoulder is also doing. So it's also a lead line that's pulling you through into his figure.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Okay. I can see that. That's why I like talking to you. All right, well, let's go on. So that's Sean Gordon Murphy. We could discuss him all day. Did you use that link I sent for the Matteo Black Science?
I do believe I did. Let me reduce my screen here because I was looking at that full screen too.
So I will
how do I
remove mine so you can pull that up and we can go through an issue of Black Science and Matteo stuff?
Yeah, I just need to figure out how to work these pages here. Oh, I guess you just, you click on them and then screw.
Oh, no, do this. So if you're looking at it and there's one page that's kind of like floating like a pop-up.
Yep.
The upper right-hand corner of the screen has an X. Click that X.
Yeah. And
then you'll see where you can click one page. I think it is. You click one page and then you can just scroll like I was just doing.
Oh, the X just gets riveted from the page.
And then you'll see all the thumbnails. But if you go down, you should see a little bubble you can click.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah. Wait, that one rotates it. That one flips it. Oh, which button is it? Oh, there it is. Okay, I got it. Okay, I figured it out. Cool. Share screen. Oh yeah, okay, it's this page here. So is Black Science visible on the screen now?
Yeah, can you see it?
Well, I'm on the actual page. So,
okay, yeah, I can see it. I can see
good.
it.
Okay, and let me just make sure here. Let me click through. Okay, got it. Figured it out. Okay, so here's another guy that I really like looking at. When I was coming up, there was this new artist that had emerged that was like the rage of everyone after post-image, and it was Joe Madureira. And I loved his work because it had this fresh feel to it after having to look at all the angry cross-hatching that like Scott Williams was inking from all the guys, especially Jim Lee. And Joe Mad just sort of like swept us away into manga meets comic books, and gave us this kind of nice graphic design look, pleasant shapes, and cartoony, easy and pleasing faces, as opposed to everything being so angst and harsh and that sort of thing. And to me, this guy is like Joe Mad 2.0.
Oh yeah.
He's taken some of the aesthetics that Joe Mad had, and then he's also converged it with classic comic books with spotting blacks and hatching when hatching is needed. But then he has the cartoony shapes. Like every character is distinct in their cartooniness. He's the pointy nose, the blunt face, the rounded shapes, the angular shapes. Like everybody has a design aesthetic to them, where in silhouette you would easily know who each character is. And then he takes us on this amazing ride, this science fiction ride, which I also appreciate. Science fiction is, I think, more science fiction should be in comics. Like Saga. Saga is really great science fiction in a comic book format. And this one is a ride through this guy's mental his psyche and his mental state. Like this guy is definitely, he's he's suffering from anxiety and depression, and the panels sort of feel that way in a lot of ways. When you're moving through the story, you can feel his angst in them. And
Now,
and
did you see that they did, I don't know, I think it was the first 2 or 3 issues of Black Science, 11 by 17 printed?
Oh no, I don't have those, but I have all the giant graphic novels that are like you could kill somebody with them. They're so big.
Yeah, because I love his, I mean, the color is nice, but I like the black and white because he
Oh
has some of
yeah.
those inking techniques like Sean does.
Yep. Oh, I'm gonna look for those then, because I'd love to get his in black and white only. But yeah, just and his colorist is really good too. Like the whole team on this book is just quality. And with Rick's story, that is like all the books that Rick has done, like with Sean Tokyo Ghost, and then there's that one series, the Deadly Class. They're fun to read, but at times it's like, oh my God, Rick can write and write and write, and it's like so much to read.
Oh yeah.
And I think they did a good job of spreading that out through these pages, so you get those intense blocks of text, but then you still get this eye candy everywhere else. And they were designed nicely with each other in mind. And you're not losing anything where, like, you don't need to see the rest of this skull shape or rock shape over here in the foreground, but you can still get the idea of what it is underneath. And to me, this was very well designed. The pages were well designed. The artwork is beautiful. The coloring is beautiful. The writing is amazing. Did they finish this series?
I don't know.
Because I have 4 of the big graphic novels, but I'm not sure. I feel like at the end of the 4th one, it still could keep going. Like, but I don't know if there was another one after that.
Yeah, I don't. How old is the last one? Like, how long ago did it come out?
Let me look and see. And then last year at Comic-Con, I went to go see if the next one was coming out, and none of the books were there anymore. They didn't have any of them. And that tripped me up too. It's like, did Image take that book away? Because it's a popular selling book. Why would they get rid of it? Oh my God, I can't. If there is a publishing date on it, I cannot read it to save my life. It's in white ink in like 5-point text on the bottom corner of the page. Looks like maybe 2017, but that's weird because that's really old. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I can't read it at all. And I have good eyes, and that is just there. There's a guy named Greg Manchess who's a really great painter, and he put this book out, this painted novel, and it is absolutely beautiful. But he used a script text for the writing in it, and he used like 7-point pica for the height of the lettering. So unless you read it with a magnifying glass, there's some pages where it's just like, it just looks like a bunch of swishes and swirls. It doesn't even read like words. And then he has one page where it's yellow lettering on the back of it on a green background, and they're almost the same value, so you can barely even see the words. It's like, really? You're an artist. You should know better, dude.
I know. I see I'll see just like splash pages with like titles that I'm like, I can't read that.
Right.
And sometimes it's not even the lettering font. Sometimes it's the color choice. And it's like, come on.
Yep, totally. Yeah, so I love the composition of these pages. He does use like he'll stick with cinematic format for several pages in a row, but you don't feel, and you still feel like you're reading a comic book and not a movie in a book. And then he's really good with breaking up the panels into, like, some of these pages are really nicely composed. There's a lot of, like, I don't know if you know Greg Tocini's work, but I see a lot of resemblances in the way they lay out pages to each other.
Yeah, we when CrossGen was going on, we had him do some stuff for us. So, and this was early on in his career, but I mean, you could just see it then. It's great stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, the movement of the figures. He's not coloring this, is he?
No, he has the
I
colors.
didn't think so, but whoever is, I mean, once again, it's just a great combination working well together.
Yeah, absolutely.
That big first panel, you've got the nice warm of the dancer there surrounded by just cool colors and stuff. And it's just great.
Yeah, as confusing as some of these pages could potentially look if they were colored wrong, you don't get that at all. There's a really good sense of clarity in every panel on the page, and your eye has a way of moving through the page, utilizing both the action lines and the colorization of the page. Because his blacks are definitely like, if you take away the colors, it's like a checkerboard. And in black and white on its own, it could potentially be a little bit distracting and hard to read. But again, with the quality of the combination of everybody working together here, these pages have so much vitality and so much movement in them from the beginning to the end.
Yeah.
And this is going page by page, so I don't have certain pages marked out. But this reminds me of Vatine, Olivier Vatine.
I know the name.
Yeah, he's an amazing artist, a European artist who does he's drawn in so many different styles. I believe he was an animator at one point, like Claire Wendling and a lot of the other really great graphic novelists over there. They all passed through Disney at one point. And Disney sort of teaches you this idea that and this is actually true, but they make sure that animators know this. You don't own a style. Your style is whatever the project is you're working on. So you should have the drawing skills to be able to manipulate your work to change the look for whatever project you're working on. And Vatine definitely has that. He's worked in every style you can possibly think of. And they're all really compelling, but they have these moments of silence where the panel is quiet except for the one action. Like, you can hear the splash in this panel because it's so isolated and it's not convoluted with a background and waves and everything else. Like, you're really feeling that sound you hear when like a diver belly flops into a pool. You can totally.
Well, the nice thing too is, once again, the panel flow from the character in the first panel being at the top of the panel. Your eye leads down as he's coming down towards the water with the directionality of the figure and the feet. And then he's got that one leg cocked back. And then even the angle of the foot of the leg that's straight all leads you to the splash.
Yep.
In the middle panel. And that, you just feel it, like you said.
And he has that radiation continuing through with the window above and that one shard that's overlapping the panel at the bottom corner. There's these beautiful lead lines that continue the splash out of the panel, even though you're ending at the frame.
Yeah.
The one thing that was a little weird to me on this one was how heavy some of the frame lines were. They're these monster-sized frame lines that I would never think of doing anything like this at all.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, so the rule of thumb way back was the thickness of your lettering. So back in the day, the standard lettering pen was a nib was a B5, I think.
Okay.
I think it was called a B5. I know I still have one from the Kubert school. And the whole thing was you would do that for panel borders and you would letter with it. And then, as markers got better and stuff, people started lettering with markers and pens like that. But it's still supposed to be the thickness of the lettering, the thickness of the border. I mean, looking at it on my screen because it's smaller, it doesn't bother me as much because, he did the big first panel that goes, it's the splash panel that has 1, 2, 3, 4 inset panels basically over top. So it doesn't really bother me that much to separate out, but it is a fine line where you can definitely get too heavy and then it can be distracting,
Yeah, totally. Well, this is where my brain kind of goes, real estate, you're losing real estate by taking it away with this element that doesn't really need to be here. And that's just sometimes my perfectionism brain kind of firing off in a weird way. It's like all of them, like every page you can see that he's got this really you know what, if those lines were thinner though, the artwork would be overwhelming. So I think there's a graphic design choice being made here to balance things out now that I'm looking at it with this page.
It's funny because I also like, and I think Brian Hitch actually started it, I like it where there's no panel borders and it's just the white because there's so much, there's color in the panel. So I kind of like it both ways, because I think that works just as well. And I don't think it's, obviously, if you overlap panels, you need to have that thickness because then if that black border overlapping was knocked out in white, it would be the perfect thickness, know, because if it's white, it's got to be thicker than that thin, black line.
Yeah, absolutely. Otherwise, it becomes graphically distracting.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, again, there's flow in these. To me, it's kind of like the same entertainment that I get from Spider-Verse, watching the film. There's a good balance between design, between aesthetic, between the colorization, the lighting, and the design sensibility of the characters. And that's exactly what's happening with me when I look at all of these pages in any of the books. And there's definitely a progression, like from book 1 up to the last book that he made of these. You can see his improvement on the quality. His design sense and his black and white spotting got better and better as he was pushing through from book 1 to book 4 in the graphic novels, which is what I think like 12 issues in each graphic novel. But you can see that progression, and as it was getting closer to the end of the series, it's like as good as a Hellboy book. In terms of like the intelligence of what to knock out, what to show and showcase, what to push, what to bend in like some of the anatomy in these, you're just like, yeah, it doesn't work, but it does because he's running. And so he's it's sort of like looking at a baseball pitcher in mid photo, like in mid throw. Like in some photos, it doesn't look like there's any bones in a pitcher's arm. The arm just looks rubber because of how fast the camera has to capture the movement. There's a certain kind of blur to it that causes the arm to look like it's arcing. And that is, he plays that up in the movement of his characters. Yeah. When they're in hyper motion, as opposed to obviously like when they're all standing around like this. And then his design, his character design, like the quality of each character is there. And again, you can read them in a silhouette because he has all the right elements that he is over caricatured so that they're easy to read even when they're black. Like you can tell this is the main character because of his pointy nose and pointy chin. It's just very obvious because of the quality of his design work.
And just the design on everything, his tech, his backgrounds. He's just another one of those guys that, you look at his work and you're like, yeah, I mean, if you, like you mentioned Claire Wendling and that other artist, I'm blanking.
Olivia Mateen?
Yes. And you can, if you know about those guys, you can go, oh yeah, I can see where he's getting some of his influences from. But, if you don't, you're just like, oh my God. But it's still, just looking at it, has that sense because it's just so nice.
Totally. Well, I think that's part of, like, because of all the stuff that I have had to teach in the past. When I find an artist, I go and read every interview that I can find and source everybody that they potentially looked at. And then I go find those artists, and then I do the same thing with those artists. Who did they look at? And that's why I have like a big, like, vast collection of graphic novels and art books. And I've got artists that you would never have heard of, and I can't believe that there were books made of these people because they're so obscure. But when you actually get the chance to look at some of these artists, it's like, oh, that's where he's getting this from. Okay, because it's not like any of these things that were just invented off the cuff. Everybody's pushing all the influences they've ever had in the history of everything that they've looked at. And I think that's the reward for somebody who's on the path to doing this, is discovering all the artists of influence from that artist. Like, I tell any student or any artist that I mentor, don't copy the artist you're looking at. Go back and reference the artist that they looked at and try to work in the same way, where you're getting influences from these other older artists, so that you don't end up being a clone of somebody in the modern era, especially in this modern day. It's always kind of that you go to ArtStation and you see a new artist, and then 2 weeks later there's 500 of them. Because they're all copying that one artist, and it's like, that's not the way to be doing this, and you're never going to stand out if that's the way you're thinking you need to get into the industry.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. If you look at a lot of stuff at Marvel, and I'm a Wednesday warrior, I go to the comic shop every Wednesday, and you just look at some of the Marvel stuff, and you're like, looks the same, looks the same, looks the same, looks the same, and it's like, you could say, in the 90s, when the whole Image thing took off, they had that feel too, but I don't think they had that feel as much as they do now. I still remember a little more individuality back then.
A little bit. Image was building a lot of clones quickly, though. It started becoming a little bit too crazy from what they did, but I get it, because they were the new hype and everybody wanted to jump on that bandwagon. When they're all bragging about how much money I made off of my book because the publisher didn't take half, and now everybody wants to go to Image. So they're all going to draw thinking that they have to find your favorite Image artist and copy that look, and you'll get into Image.
Right. Well, we're going to wrap it up. We've been going for an hour and 40 minutes, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the show and the talk about these three amazing artists. So much to learn from just looking at different art. If even, one thing I learned, or I wish I could go back and change, is if you first look at something and go, I don't know, it's not my wheelhouse, just take a deeper dive on it and look at it. Because you might be surprised, when you actually dive into it. 30 years ago, looking at if there was an artist, because there weren't really artists like Matteo or Sean Gordon Murphy 30 years ago. Of course there was, Wing Shing Ma, but he wasn't as well known over here then. I don't know if I would have looked at the stuff and given it a second glance. But one of the great things, getting older, is just expanding your horizons. And it doesn't matter if it's comic art, illustrators, writers for that matter, anything in the creative field. So, we hope you just enjoyed this show. And, so there you go. And Ron, I appreciate it. That was great, man. You were so insightful. We will have to do it again, because I was already thinking we could do a show on like manga, because I've got a bunch of different, I've got more of that than of the Korean stuff. Cool. Variety over here.
Yeah, for sure. I would also like to do something with a lot of the independent artists. There's like, I just backed a Kickstarter book that's about the Mexican Civil War, the Spanish Civil War, and it's about the first photographers in the war, and it's sort of a combination of their photography and this graphic novel. And then there's all the European books that I would get from Stordang, huge collection of Stordang books. And to be able to introduce all of that also to the comic book world who doesn't get a chance to go to these conventions and see all of these different books. This is where, again, like you were saying, to be able to expand your mind beyond the thing that you know you like only. It's sort of like that's a habit. We get stuck in habits sometimes.
Right.
And I think as an artist, you have to break your habit continuously in order to stay fresh and in order to find your actual voice. Because if all you do is look at one type of comic, then you're trying to fit into a voice that already exists, when you can find a different dialect within that if you bring in other outside influences. Just those little tweaks alone will make that thing more exciting looking, and everybody around would enjoy looking at it, because I think there are a lot more people who are looking for variety than not. It's kind of hard to do when you're stuck in a trend, and you don't want to be outspoken by the trend itself. You sort of just subdue yourself and resign to it instead of breaking away and becoming this unique voice. And I would just love to see that more. That to me is more exciting than like you said, they all look the same, hey, there's something different right there. They all look the same, they all look, it's unfortunate, because there probably are a lot of those books that would be great to read, but I just don't pick them up because it's too cloned into everything else, and it gets turned into wallpaper instead of something unique that jumps off the shelf.
Yep, I agree. And then I always like to segue. Well, if you want something to jump off the shelf, guys, go check out Lilineth Infernal Conflict, now live on Indiegogo. 360 backers. Let's keep it going, guys. Everybody that has backed it so far, thank you so much. Dennis and I really appreciate it. I know I sound like a broken record, but it's true. Without your support, we could not do this book. You are the producers of this book. Without you, it wouldn't happen. The latest addition to the campaign is the foil cover. You can get that separately and then add on any of the other covers, or if you back the collector's box, we are including it in the box. The price is not changed for the box. So if you already backed it, you're getting an additional book. If you haven't backed it, you're getting a ton of stuff, including the John Malin black and white variant cover and the Ysurcia bookmark that only come in the box. So guys, go check it out. Like I said, last night, the calendar is at the printers right now. That'll be shipping in December. There's only 40 of them, so get that. I will be adding more preview pages when I get them back from the colorist. He is working diligently on them. And, of course, the big one is the newsprint edition of the book. It is exclusive, 150 copies, 100 copies for the campaign only. We're holding 50 back for, conventions, website. The same story, printed on newsprint, colored in flat colors, just like comics from the 70s and 80s. It's going to be stapled, and 67 out of 100 have been picked up. They will be signed, numbered, and come with a certificate of authenticity. So thank you, Mods, Randy, and guys, for popping the links in the chat. The link is also in the description below, as well as the link for Ron's website is in the description below. And we will be back next week. Dennis will be here, and I guarantee it, because he told me he guarantees it. So until then, thank you very much. And Ron, thank you for joining the show again.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me here, and good luck, Dennis. May everything feel better for you.
Cool. Bye-bye, everybody.